All right, how's everybody doing? Fantastic, right? All right, well, we're in the tail stretch, and I think we promised that we'd have you guys out of here by 7 p.m., right? That joke never gets old to me. All right, 4. We'll have you guys out of here by 4 p.m. All right, it's really 3. It's really 3. And we're going to stand by that, okay? All right, so the last few things that we're going to show you are, as we're laying this foundation, are what the final 3 fundamental principles of these new classrooms that we're creating, all right? So you've heard us continue to talk about 21st century skills, 21st century classrooms. Well, to get everybody on the same page, on the same language around this, they refer to 5 things: critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaboration, and college and career readiness, all right? So why are these things so important? Number 1, this is what colleges are actually looking for now, all right? So what's currently happening is that the students that we're preparing for college, they need to actually have and know these skills to be successful where they're going, all right? So part of what, and you guys all have these slides, I'm not going to go through them in great detail because you have this, but I think at this point, Wally, Jaime, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at this point, of all the colleges, of all the top colleges, what percentage of them are now doing some form of blended learning? Of the top colleges, yeah, is pretty much all of them, right? So at this point, basically all of the colleges are doing some form of the work that we are doing, right, with Perpetuo. And so what we really need to do is make sure that as we're preparing our high schoolers to now go into the world of college, that they're going in understanding how these new learning environments function, all right? What's also changing is that the SAT is being redesigned and has been redesigned, right? And so there's an entirely new focus of what does actually technology and these new critical skills around creativity, communication. We're now into the world where just regurgitating answers is no longer enough, all right? So this change is both from the standpoint of, like, we want to do this, but we also have to do this, all right? And the final piece around this is around just the workforce. So employers are more and more looking for actually these skills, these 21st century skills that we're talking about. Question?
Page to download because the copies.
Yes. Yes, it will be. All right. Is everybody okay? We got to get this group out of here. It's getting crazy. It's getting loco. It's getting loco in here. We got to wrap this thing up. We're almost there. All right. So the other piece that I want to talk about briefly, guys, is, let me bring it back. There's nothing to see here. Is this idea of personalizing and differentiating instruction. And this is actually an extremely important consideration in this whole work that we're doing, because we're also now in the world where looking at students as I can give a lecture and they're all going to get it. As we know, that's always been a tricky kind of way to approach classrooms, but now it's even trickier because we really do have students that are across the board as far as not just where their current knowledge is, but also how they learn. And so part of how we want to really approach this new space is using, you mind if I grab this? These amazing devices that we have, right? Phones, computers, et cetera, to really get to this place of personalizing and differentiating instruction on an ongoing basis, all right? So next week, I believe it's Wednesday, right, Wally? Or is it Wednesday we're going to focus on a deep dive into personalization, right? Tuesday, okay. So next week, we're actually going to take a deep dive into how this actually can happen now with what you guys have at your disposal, all right? So the other critical piece is I want to point out a couple words. That can happen as far as depth, complexity, and pace, all right? So these new classrooms, the vision that we're creating is really getting to the heart of what does personalization actually mean? What does it look like? So we're going to go into a lot more detail there, all right? What you guys actually have in your packets and on your Facebook page, right, is some wonderful examples of how traditional instruction varies from differentiated instruction, all right? So I don't know, why. Do you want to say anything more about this before we go to the next item?
We'll get to that.
Okay, cool.
Don't try to read it in your packets or anything. This is gonna be on Facebook. You're gonna have it. You're gonna be able to zoom it out and zoom it in, and so don't worry about it. I mean, it's impossible to pick it all up in that paper.
Yep. All right. The other piece that we're going to take a deep dive into is something. This is an area that I think has tremendous potential in this transformation process, and that's data-driven decision-making, right? This is one of those areas that when you ask teachers in schools, are they doing it, right? In most cases, everybody's saying, oh, yes, we're doing it. Yes, we're doing something like that. But then when you really get into looking at data on a daily basis, right, and then actually being able to adjust instruction, that's the world that we're really pushing for. Because now, we can be in a space where you're not losing any time with students being confused. You can know immediately, right, where each student is and be able to make the adjustments also immediately. So I think we have a short video that we want to show you.
Welcome, and thank you for your interest in our site. I'm Cassandra Alvarado, Assistant Dean of the School of Undergraduate Studies at the University of Texas at Austin, and I'm one of the authors of these modules. In partnership with the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board and the University of Texas at El Paso, our team of educators, researchers, and administrators at the University of Texas at Austin created the site you're visiting today. Our purpose in creating these modules is to help you learn to incorporate data into your daily work and to use that data to improve teaching and learning. We call this process data-driven decision-making. Frequently when I say data, folks get anxious. They think it's about research studies, they think it's about big spreadsheets, they think it's about complex numbers. Data is anything that you have in front of you that gives you information about what you're observing. That can be student work products, it can be numbers on a spreadsheet, it can be observations from what's happening in a classroom. Data comes from all different sources, and I think what's important for educators to realize is that they work with data every day. What we're trying to do is help demystify the process of using that data to make informed decisions. Data-driven decision-making, simply put, means gathering information to help you better understand your educational environment and then using what you learn to make positive changes in your work. Data-driven decision-making asks you to observe the patterns around you, question why they're happening, and investigate. The process asks you to make decisions about your work based on data and evidence, not just anecdotes or hunches. Finally, data-driven decision-making requires a commitment to taking action, putting to use what the data tell you so that you and your colleagues can improve the teaching and learning environment. We hope you find these modules educational and enjoyable, and thank you for the important work you do every day as an educator.
So what we're going to really be pushing, and I think what day is that, Wally? What's data? Thursday. Okay. So you guys have been, asking for the nuts and bolts. So you can see each of these principles that is critical to successful classrooms. We're going to be taking a very deep dive into as we go through the next several days, as in Tuesday through Friday. All right. And again, you have more info in your packets, and that will be available for you on the Facebook page. And then I think finally, technology integration with a purpose. All right. I'm going to spend just a minute or two on this one, because the other thing that we've seen, and going back to our one example around LAUSD, is it's one thing to pull out the iPads like my wonderful friend just did right here, right? Or whatever you're using, the Chromebooks, we're going to do Chromebooks. But it's something else to actually use them and know why you're actually using them. So when we're doing observations, it's not just, okay, great, the kids are on the computers, right? No, it's a different question than that. The question is, okay, if they are using technology, how is that actually adding to the instructional component of your lesson, all right? So you guys are all familiar with Bloom's taxonomy, and thinking about these different ways in which these modalities in which learning can happen, from remembering all the way up to creating. Our goal is to put you in a position where you not only are using technology, but you're using it very purposefully. Because I'll tell you, there will be some times when you shouldn't use it, right? We want you to be able to decipher when will be best to use technology and why, and when not to, all right? So that's the critical piece around using it with a purpose. So there's one more short video I'll show you now.
People have been integrating technology in the classroom forever. What I think is really exciting about what we're seeing now is that technology is being used to fundamentally transform what the classroom is, fundamentally transform what you can do with the classroom.
I think to define technology integration, it's really using whatever resources you have to the best of your abilities. Technology, it's a tool. It's what you do with that tool, what you can make, what you allow the students to make. That's really what technology is about. If you can do this lesson without technology, that's great. But if you can do it better with technology, then that's why you use it. That's why you use tools.
This is a list of different applications that you can use to make music or do art. I've used it to record some of my personal narratives that I've written. My eyes were drooping. I was drifting off to sleep.
Students today are creating using digital tools. They're not creating using analog tools. For us to feel like we really are connecting with our kids and to make learning fun for our kids and meaningful, we need to meet them where they are. Kids can create podcasts, movies, songs to express their ideas, express their thoughts, but also to express their learning.
When you create, you take ownership of your learning. You understand it in a very different way than if you just memorize something from a textbook, or if you just read it over and over again, or watched it in someone else's film. If you were able to translate that information into your own film, your own content, your own something to share, that's just amazing.
And sometimes they learn things we didn't expect them to learn. Like I had my second graders reflect on the project they did, and some of them said, I learned how to get along with somebody, or I learned how to work with somebody. This internet thing that has become a big part of our lives, it's really enabled people around the world to connect in ways we never imagined.
People always say that the kids respond better when they're able to share their work. Well, of course, because they have a valid audience. It doesn't go into a pile on the teacher's desk and they get handed back to their folder. Kids today can create stuff and share it with the entire world. And they have that authentic audience. They have people that actually not only will read it, but also care about it.
We have to make like a movie project, so you kind of you have a topic, and with your topic you speak into a microphone, and then you draw pictures to go with what you're saying.
If they have the link to our website, which they might end up getting by searching something on Google, and then this might pop up. And so yeah, there is a chance of kids around the world, getting to see these videos.
The traditional academic model that we've inherited from the Prussians 200 years ago is we have a set amount of time to learn something, and then there's an exam. You get a B, I get a C, even though the exam identified that you have some basic weaknesses, I have even more weaknesses. We'll then move on to the next concept. So instead of doing that traditional everyone move together in lockstep model, with technology you have the potential to everyone learn at their own pace and master concepts before they move on. Have the teacher get real-time dashboards to see who's stuck on what. Something like that is a fundamental transformation of what a classroom is.
The role of the teacher has shifted. I'm truly seeing a world where the person who's in the role of teacher is really a facilitator. And if you can facilitate your students to create great work and work alongside with them to do that, that's amazing to me.
It's not about the mode of creation, it's not about the tool, it's about the learning, it's about the process, it's about the look on my students' faces, the fact that they can stay focused, motivated, engaged, and they're sharing ideas. Really makes learning joyful.
So does anybody get as excited as I get when I see the potential of what we're sitting on here? Are you guys, is this starting to sink in, the potential that we have? I'm not sure. Could you guys see the quote that was up there and what it said about the difference between just technology and technology plus the teacher? Could you guys see that? What did it say about face-to-face?
The students do better when face-to-face plus technology are integrated.
That's exactly right. You guys heard her? What she said was, and actually, if you can say that, because you said it perfectly.
It said that students do better when you integrate face-to-face with technology in the classroom.
That's right. So what is being found now is that the highest form of learning is actually the blend of technology with face-to-face. And do you guys remember maybe some months ago when we began this process, did anybody worry about, what happens to now me as a teacher? Anybody worry about that question or have that question? What do I do now? Am I as in, is my role as important? Remember that was nobody had that concern? That's amazing. That's amazing. Because a lot of times that is a concern is now that we have these videos, this technology, what does the teacher do? Well, the great news is the highest form of learning is when you blend that face-to-face with the technology. All right, so we're going to go into more detail around that. And then I think in closing, I'm going to bring Wally back up.